Hi, I'm Steve Cannon, and today we're going to be talking about something every GM feels but rarely ever says out loud. It's running a station when the budget is tight, the expectations are high, and every decision you make has a revenue consequence. And yes, before we get into it, my services are available through Barter for stations where cash is tight, but commitment is strong. Let's go ahead and start with the truth. Small market general managers are operating in a world where the margins are thin, the workload's heavy, and the pressure is constant. You're running sales, you're running programming, promotions, HR, engineering. Sometimes you're even the one plunging the toilet. Well, people who haven't sat in your chair will never understand the weight of that particular message, really. Well, programming really isn't a luxury. It's a revenue engine, a clean log, a consistent product, and a station that sounds like it knows exactly what it's doing. You know what? That's actually what keeps listeners from drifting and advertisers from questioning their spend. When programming slips, revenue slips. And when revenue slips, well, it hits your desk first. Let's go ahead and talk about Barter. Barter's not a sign of weakness. It's not a discount. Barter is actually a tool, and smart GMs use every tool that's available to them. You know, good barter actually protects your product and it protects your time. Bad barter, however, eats your inventory up and cheapens your sound. Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about with some smart barter options. Weather services like AccuWeather or Weather Channel that improves your credibility. Imaging or production libraries that elevate your sound. Software that saves hours of staff time and consulting that stabilizes programming and reduces the fires that you have to put out. Now, bad barter examples are really anything that forces you to run more spots than your product can handle, anything that confuses your brand, and anything you're only taking because it's free. Remember, free is expensive when it costs you audience. All right, so before you sign any of the barter deals, you want to make sure that you ask yourself these questions. Does this barter actually make the station sound better? You know, we're talking about maybe the programming barter, the imaging barter, things like that. Does this save us meaningful time or money? You know, it could be any type of assistance for a software programmer or something along that line. Does this cost me inventory that I can actually sell? Okay, you know, something to ask yourself that. If you can't say yes to at least two of those, walk away from it, all right? Well, you know what, your program director isn't asking for tools because they're creative. They're asking because they're trying to make your product, they're trying to make your product better and protect your revenue. A PD with the right tools is cheaper than a PD without them. It's a pretty strong statement there. Now, I'm Steve Cannon, in case you're wondering who I am, and I'm with Hole in the Wall Media, and I help radio stations just like yours. If you're a general manager and you're trying to stabilize programming, maybe protect revenue and make barter work for you instead of against you, that's exactly what I help stations do. And yes, my services are available through Barter for stations that need the help but don't have the cash flow. You don't have to do this alone, let me tell you. Inside the Log is here to make your day a little bit easier and your station a lot stronger. Thanks for listening.